From the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8.
Now, the latest news.
Kylie Conway has the latest news. The top headlines. News you can use.
Please stand by.
Sponsored by LCS Heating and Cooling. Now, here's Wish TV's Kylie Conway.
Hi, this is Kylie Conway, and this is the News 8 Daily 8 for Wednesday, July 28th. Heat and humidity again today. Highs look to climb into the low 90s, with heat index values approaching the upper 90s. And this morning, IMPD, the FBI, and officials from the U.S. Department of Justice will give a final update on the mass shooting at an Indianapolis FedEx facility. What was the shooter's motive? That's something we hope to learn from investigators today. In April, 8 people were killed when a 19-year-old man opened fire at the FedEx facility. The victims ranged in age from 19 to 74 years old. They were all employees at FedEx and worked in the building. IMPD says Brandon Hull was the gunman, took his own life after the killings. To this day, it's not been clear why he opened fire. Officials say Hull was a former employee at FedEx and last worked with the company in 2020. After the shooting, IMPD said Hull had 2 assault rifles that he bought legally in July and September of 2020. Just before that, in March of last year, the FBI says Hull's mother told law enforcement that he might try to commit suicide by cop. The FBI says Hull was then placed on an immediate detention mental health temporary hold by IMPD, and a shotgun was taken from his home. However, Hull never appeared before a judge for a hearing under Indiana's red flag law because authorities didn't seek such a hearing, and no criminal violation was found. Today, there is hope to learn more from investigators and potentially bring some closure to the families of the victims. Today's press conference is set for 11 o'clock. You can watch that on Wish TV when it starts. You can also stream it on our news app, wishtv.com, and our Facebook page. Richard Essex will also have a full report starting at 5 o'clock tonight on Wish TV. If you're listening to this podcast after the live event is over, you can find it in its entirety in those same platforms. Simone Biles is out of this year's Olympic all-around competition. She has withdrawn from it the day after she pulled out of the team competition. In a statement shared on social media overnight, Indianapolis-based USA Gymnastics says Biles has opted out to focus on her mental health. The statement closes with, "Her courage shows, yet again, why she is a role model for so many." We first told you on Daybreak yesterday that Biles removed herself from the team final after one rotation. She later explained the decision, saying she felt intense pressure and was not mentally ready. Jade Carey will take Biles' place in the all-around competition. USA Gymnastics says Biles will be evaluated before deciding if she'll participate in next week's individual events. More people are digging their masks back out this morning. The CDC is reversing its mask guidance because of the spread of the Delta variant. The agency now says people in areas with high levels of COVID-19 should again start wearing masks while indoors, whether you're vaccinated or not. The guidance applies to states in high or substantial transmission. Right now, Indiana has a substantial transmission. That means the guidance does apply here to mask up.
Delta variant is showing every day its willingness to outsmart us and to be an opportunist in areas where we have not shown a fortified response against it.
Wish TV's medical expert and former Surgeon General Dr. Jerome Adams says he thinks the CDC's decision is the right move.
And so you've got an environment where the majority of the people are unvaccinated and you've got cases spiraling out of control. So the CDC did what they felt was best, what was scientifically supported, and what gives, again, officials cover to help them get back in control again.
This morning, the CDC COVID data tracker reports more than 163 million people in the United States are fully vaccinated against COVID-19. And the news from the CDC comes the same week many districts will be welcoming students back into the classroom. And for some, the new guidance comes as a surprise. Governor Holcomb backs the call.
We've seen what a whacking our kiddos have taken with the pandemic over this last year in terms of learning loss, et cetera. So we don't want to watch the same movie again.
News 8's Dan Klein spoke to one superintendent about how his district is handling safety this school year.
In Wayne Township, school starts Wednesday. Henry Kowalczyk's son will be a freshman.
It's sort of tough to think about that somebody might not be vaccinated
next to my son for sure.
School officials sent out their third set of mask rules in just 2 weeks to staff and parents Tuesday, a reaction in part to new CDC guidance.
CDC recommends that everyone in K-12 schools wear a mask indoors, including teachers, staff, students, and visitors, regardless of vaccination status. Children should return to full-time in-person learning in the fall with proper prevention strategies in place.
Wayne schools are not going that far. Younger students will be in pods of 5 to 6, socially distant from other classmates, and will be able to take their mask off then.
Because we know that that's better for their learning, better for their mental health, and their social and emotional well-being.
Older students will be seated alphabetically. Masks are recommended for everyone, but only required for those not vaccinated. Masks must be worn on buses and when in the hallways and other common areas.
I've had phone calls on both sides, an equal number of phone calls on both sides of this issue. In May, I was hoping we wouldn't be having this discussion in August.
But unlike some districts, Wayne Schools is not requiring people show proof of vaccination before they can remove their mask, only if they want to avoid quarantining if they're determined to be a close contact. Kowalczyk wishes that was different, comparing the COVID vaccine to other required vaccinations.
I think it would be a good idea to ask to prove that you had a vaccine.
Still, even while his son may be vaccinated, he still worries.
Oh, yeah, all the time. But, we've done what we can. We just hope that others do what they can to help us out.
I'm Dan Klein for Wish TV, wishtv.com, and be sure to follow us on Facebook.
Another health system is changing its COVID-19 vaccine policy related to variant spreading. This morning, Ascension is requiring every staff member to be vaccinated. That includes employees who do not work directly with patients and those working remotely. The health system says all staff must be fully vaccinated by November 12th. Employees will be able to request an exemption for things like medical conditions or strongly held religious beliefs. And as kids start going back to school, there is travel training for IPS students. Indigo is hosting 2 events to help families handle the district's significant transportation changes. More students will walk or take Indigo buses to class this year. For the riders, a virtual training session starts tomorrow at 6 p.m. Then Saturday, there are 3 chances to ride a bus and learn the ins and outs. The times are 11, 1, and 3. And today is the first step on a road that could end in the Super Bowl. Training camp kicks off this morning for the Colts. Players will be on the field for the first day of practice at Grand Park. Today, we also expect to hear from the new quarterback, Carson Wentz. His teammates say he is ready to step into his new role.
Talking to him, man, he's excited. The city's embraced him. We embraced him in the locker room, man. He's relaxed, and I think we did a great job, just getting him in and just sitting him down, talk to him, let him know, you can just be you.
That was T.Y. Hilton you just heard from. Now, the Colts are also welcoming fans back for the first time since the pandemic began. And lots of stuff that you can take part in and look forward to. We've got a lot more information on wishtv.com. And 4 officers who defended the Capitol during the January insurrection are calling for accountability for actions before the riots and resources to prevent future attacks. The House Select Committee called them in to testify about what it was like that day.
I remember thinking there was a very good chance I would be torn apart or shot to death with my own weapon. I thought of my 4 daughters who might lose their dad.
The committee says subpoenas could come soon. Isabel Rosales looks closer at the first hearing since the attack.
The indifference shown to my colleagues is disgraceful.
Emotional testimony as a House Select Committee holds its first high-profile hearing on the deadly January 6th Capitol riot.
I feel like I went to hell and back to protect them and the people in this room.
4 police officers recounting the trauma they encountered while defending the Capitol that day, giving the panel their first-hand accounts of being outnumbered. Some said they were dragged into the crowd and attacked with their own gear and weapons.
I could feel myself losing oxygen and recall thinking to myself, this is how I'm going to die.
The mob of terrorists were coordinating their efforts now, shouting heave, ho, as they synchronized, pushing their weight forward, crushing me further against the middle door frame.
Push it back! The hearing also showing never-before-seen video, showing the violent clashes between police and the sea of rioters who stormed the building in chaos.
There was an attack carried out on January 6th, and a hitman sent them.
I want you to get to the bottom of that.
The bipartisan investigation facing criticism from some House Republicans over the committee's membership. Congressman Adam Kinzinger, one of the only 2 Republicans on the panel, getting emotional, saying Americans deserve answers.
You know, democracies are not defined by our bad days. We're defined by how we come back from bad days, how we take accountability for that.
In Washington, Isabel Rosales.
2 people are dead and 7 more are injured after a chemical leak at a plant in Texas. A spokesperson for LyondellBasell says it happened yesterday evening at the company's facility in LaPorte, southeast of Houston. According to the company, it was an acetic acid leak. First responders are working with the company to confirm all employees are accounted for. The man accused in the spa shootings in Georgia is now sentenced to life in prison for part of the spree. Robert Aaron Long pleaded guilty to 4 murder charges yesterday and immediately got his sentence. That wraps up the case in Cherokee County, where Long admits he shot 5 people, killing 4 of them. The prosecutor explained why she didn't pursue the death penalty, saying family members of the victim wanted swift justice and no appeals. Long still faces a possible death penalty in Atlanta, where prosecutors say he killed 4 more people. 6 of the 8 people killed in the spree were Asian women, leading many to call it a hate crime. The prosecutor in Cherokee County says investigators found no evidence of that. And there are concerns that conditions are getting worse in the battle of California's largest wildfire of the year. The Dixie Fire is the 14th largest in the state's history. It started July 13th in Northern California. Firefighters say it is only 23% contained. Almost 8,000 people are under evacuation orders as the fire spreads.
It's just a tinderbox out there right now.
The smoke is acid. It burns your lungs. You know, it's just the oxygen level has dropped. You know, it's probably only about 85%.
As of this morning, there are 80 wildfires in the western part of the country. The Forest Service says almost 3 million acres of land have burned this year. And I-Team 8 is getting answers from Governor Holcomb about the unemployment crisis in Indiana. Jasmine Miner spoke to the governor yesterday after weeks of being told he was unavailable. She asked what he'll do to help people who say they've been incorrectly ordered to repay tens of thousands of dollars, but cannot get answers from the state.
They might not be getting the answer, but we have to go through these things one by one by one. And when I see hundreds, as reported, of folks who maybe haven't applied for the waiver, if they were overpaid and they're unhappy, they should. We all have a shared responsibility in this. But we have to work through this case by case by case.
Is there a situation?
And we are mindful of all the fraud and the millions of attempts, so we can't just assume anything.
According to the U.S. Department of Labor, Indiana overpaid $100 million in unemployment insurance and has recovered $26 million. Information from the Labor Department indicates that the state hasn't yet waived any overpayment. And this morning, we're hearing one local man struggles with the IRS. His tax returns show he made thousands in 2020, mostly from unemployment. But the IRS claims he made millions. I-Team8's Richard Essex talked to him about how this could have happened.
Aaron Strickler is 26 years old, and last year he was furloughed from his job. When he went to file his taxes, he used the same electronic tax filer that he's used for years. But somewhere between hitting the send button to send his return to the IRS and his return getting to the IRS, his income increased by $2 million, and he has no idea how it happened.
The IRS is saying that I made over $2 million.
Strickler showed I-Team8 his tax returns from last year. He made right around $32,000. That includes $20,000 in unemployment insurance, a far stretch from the $2 million that the IRS says that he made.
They want $750,000 in taxes.
He filed his taxes online with the same tax preparer that he's used for years. When he filed in early February, he owed close to $1,000 in income taxes, which he paid. Months later, he noticed a problem. He hadn't received the third stimulus check.
So I went back and looked at my taxes to see was something holding it up. Well, that was when I found out on the top left of the screen that I owed $735,000 in federal and over $45,000 in state.
At some point, a few additional zeros were added to his tax return.
So there was something where a glitch happened where rather than it putting in, I made $20,000 in unemployment compensation, it put it that I made $2 million.
Strickler says that he would have noticed a mistake like that when he filed. He says a representative from his online tax preparer said that they've never seen anything like this and that he was on his own. which means making calls to the IRS and praying that someone picks up.
I call their line. Some days they take phone calls. Some days they don't take phone calls. I think on 2 or 3 occasions, I finally got through and got in contact with someone. Well, then they say, this isn't my department. I need to transfer you to another person. I get transferred to another person. They put me on hold, say they're looking through my account, put me on hold again, and then my phone call disconnects.
As for the $45,000 that he owed the state of Indiana, Strickler says he was able to clear that up with one visit to the Indiana Department of Revenue. iTeammate has called the IRS, and we have not heard back from them as of yet. Strickler has been getting collection notices from the IRS demanding $7,300 a month. Now, we're going to stay on this story until we get some kind of a resolution. In downtown Indianapolis at the Federal Building, Richard Essex, Wish TV, wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook.
The FDA is issuing a recall of 3 seasonings sold in Indiana. According to the agency, McCormick Perfect Pinch Italian Seasoning, McCormick Culinary Italian Seasoning, and Frank's Red Hot Buffalo Ranch Seasoning may have been contaminated with salmonella. The seasonings are sold at Kroger, Target, and Walmart stores. Anyone with these products is asked to throw it away and call McCormick for a refund or replacement. The agency says no illnesses have been reported yet. And today, 2 IndyCar stars compete in a very different venue. Felix Rosenqvist and Pato O'Ward will square off at the Sports Experience at the Children's Museum. The 7 sports in their heptathlon include a home run derby, a javelin throw, and a field goal kicking contest. The competition is from 8 to 10 this morning. That's before the museum opens. So the drivers will be back at noon then to meet with fans and race visitors at the museum's pedal car oval. To business headlines, across the United States, rents are higher than their pre-pandemic path. Since January, rents have gained 11.4%, while some of that growth reflects a bounce back in prices that tumbled earlier in the pandemic. According to the apartment list, the average rent in Indianapolis has reached $1,155 for a 1-bedroom apartment and $1,335 for a 2-bedroom apartment. That's according to apartment list. Walmart, the largest U.S. private employer, said Tuesday it will invest $1 billion over the next 5 years to cover the cost of college tuition and books for its U.S. employees. Starting on August 16th, the retailer will drop its $1 a day fee for Walmart and Sam's Club associates who are part of the company's Live Better U education program. Overall, the program will help 1.5 million associates earn a college degree or a trade skill without facing that burden of debt. And Fed watchers expect that the spreading coronavirus Delta variant will make the central bank sound more cautious on outlook when it emerges from its 2-day meeting today. Investors were nervous about inflation, but the Delta variant could slow things down if it becomes more widespread. No interest rate change is expected out of today's meeting. Stocks of companies that endorse U.S. Olympic gymnast Simone Biles had little reaction to her pulling out of the gymnastics team final and the overall individual competition. She has tons of sponsors, including Athleta, Nabisco, and Uber Eats. This has been your News 8 Daily 8 for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway, online at wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
The News 8 Daily 8 is sponsored by LCS Heating and Cooling. Be sure to like and subscribe to this podcast, The News 8 Daily 8 with Kylie Conway. And be sure to discover even more great podcasts now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.